Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about something that I think a lot of us have quietly experienced but maybe never fully understood: killing houseplants. And look, if you ever bought a beautiful little plant, brought it home with the best of intentions, and then watched it slowly give up on life, you're not alone. I've been there. Most plant lovers have been there. But here's the thing: it's almost never bad luck. There's almost always a reason. And once you know the reason, fixing it is actually pretty simple. So, today we are going through the most common houseplant scare mistakes, one by one, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to do instead. Let's get into it. Mistake number one, and the most common, is overwatering. This is hands down the number one way people lose houseplants, and the heartbreaking part, it comes from a place of love. You want your plant to thrive, so you water it a lot, regularly. Maybe every day, because that feels like caring, right? But here's what actually happening underground. When the soil stays wet for too long, the roots can't breathe. Roots need oxygen, and when they are sitting in soggy soil, they start to rot. And once the roots rot, the plant can't absorb water or nutrients. So it starts to look wilted and sad, which tricks you into thinking it needs more water. And the cycle gets worse. So here's what you're going to do. Before you water, stick your finger about an inch into the soil. If it still feels damp, wait. If it's dry, go ahead and water. For most common houseplants, your pothos, your snake plants, your peace lilies, watering once a week in summer and every 2 weeks in winter is usually plenty. And always make sure your pot has drainage holes. Water sitting at the bottom of a pot with no escape is just root rot waiting to happen. A quick tip: if you are chronic overwater, try terracotta pots. They're porous, they let the soil breathe and dry out faster. Also, they'll save you from yourself. I say this with love. Mistake number two, underwatering. Now, on the flip side, we've got underwatering, and yes, this one is real too. Since your plant is too thirsty, the leaves are crispy at the tips, the soil has pulled away from the edges of the pot, and the whole field and the whole thing feels bone dry and almost weightless when you pick it up. Some plants, succulents, cacti, ZZ plants, genuinely love to dry out between waterings, but most leafy tropical plants like camellias, ferns, maidenhair ferns like consistent moisture. Let them dry out completely and they let you know in a very dramatic fashion. And how do you solve this? You learn your specific plant needs, because there is no universal watering schedule that works for everything. When you do water an underwatered plant, water it deeply and thoroughly. Let the water run all the way through until it drains out at the bottom. That ensures the roots at the bottom of the pot are getting a drink too. Next up, getting the light wrong. And this one trips people up because the light in our homes can feel bright to us, but plants experience it very differently. Here is a common scenario. You put a sun-loving plant in a corner that feels bright and airy to you. But if it's 5 or 6 feet away from a window, your plant is basically living in a cave. Light drops off incredibly fast the further you get away from a window. On the other hand, some plants, like prayer plants, pothos, or peace lilies, are understory plants in their natural habitat. They grow under a canopy of trees. Put them in a south-facing window with direct afternoon light, and their leaves will bleach, burn, and curl. So what do? You think about where your plant comes from. Tropical plants from the forest floor want bright, indirect sun. Succulents and cacti from arid regions want direct sun. Most plants will tell you if something is off. Leggy, stretched growth means they are reaching for more light. Pale, washed out leaves usually means too much direct sun. A good rule of thumb, most common houseplants are happiest within 3 feet of a window. And rotate your plants every few weeks or so all sides get even exposure. Mistake number 4. This one surprises most people. Choosing the wrong pot size. It seems like giving a plant a bigger pot will be a good thing, right? More room to grow, but actually, if a pot is too large, all that extra soil holds on to moisture that the plant's roots can't absorb fast enough. And we are back to the root problem. On the flip side, a plant that's widely root bound, roots circling the bottom, poking out of drainage holes, the plant drying out 2 days after watering. That plant is telling you it needs more space. The solution is to repot. Go up one size, roughly 1 to 2 inches larger in diameter. That's it. It gives the roots room to grow without drowning them in excess soil. And spring is generally the best time to repot because the plant is actively growing and will adjust quickly. Let's talk about humidity because this is the silent killer of a lot of beautiful tropical plants. Many of the houseplants we love, camellias, ferns, orchids, monsteras, are native to tropical rainforests where the air is thick with moisture. Our homes, especially in winter, with the heating on, can be genuinely desert dry, and those plants suffer quietly for it. You'll notice the leaf tips going brown and crispy, even when you are watering correctly. So here is what you do. You group your plants together. They create a little microclimate of humidity as they transpire. Put a tray of pebbles and water under your pots. As the water evaporates, it humidifies the air right around the plant. Or, if you really love your tropical plants, invest in a small humidifier. It makes a massive difference and your skin will probably thank you too. Wrong soil. This one is a quiet mistake that has long-term consequences. A lot of people just grab whatever general potting mix is on sale and use it for every plant. But succulents and cacti need fast-draining, gritty soil. General potting mix holds too much moisture and they'll rot. Orchids need a chunky, bark-based medium so air can circulate around the roots. And plants like camellias or ferns actually like a richer retaining mix. Here's what you do instead. You match the soil to the plant. For most tropicals, a good quality potting mix with a little added perlite for drainage works beautifully. For succulents, use a cactus mix or mix together potting soil 50-50 with coarse sand or perlite. For orchids, use orchid bark. It's a small thing that makes a huge difference. Now, let's talk about fertilizing. Specifically, 2 opposite mistakes people make. Mistake 1, never fertilizing at all. Your plant is living in a pot with a finite amount of nutrients. Over time, that soil gets depleted and your plants start to look pale, tired, and stunted. It's not dying, it's just hungry. Mistake 2, over-fertilizing. More is not always better here. Too much fertilizer, especially synthetic fertilizer, causes salt to build up in the soil. This actually damages the roots and can cause leaf tips to burn. You'll see white crusty deposits on the soil surface. To solve this, feed your plants during the growing season, spring through summer, with a balanced liquid fertilizer at half the recommended strength, about once a month. Stop fertilizing in fall and winter when most plants slow down and go into rest mode. Think of it like this. You wouldn't want someone to eat a big meal right before bed. Same idea. This next one sneaks up on you. Ignoring pests. The most common culprits are spider mites, fungus gnats, mealybugs, and scale. They are small, they hide the underside of leaves or the soil, and by the time you notice something's off, they've usually been hanging around for a while. Here's what you do instead. Make it a habit to look at your plants, like really look. Flip the leaves over. Check the stems. Every couple of weeks, catching a pest problem early makes it so much easier to deal with. For fungus gnats, those tiny flies hovering around your soil, let the top layer of soil dry out between waterings. They breed in moist soil, so dryness is your best weapon. For spider mites and mealybugs, a mix of water and a small amount of neem oil sprayed on the plant and under the leaves works really well. Wipe down mealybugs with a cotton swab dipped in rubbing alcohol. Consistency is key. Treat every few days for a couple of weeks to break the cycle. Next, bad placement, and I don't just mean light here. I mean things people don't always think about, like putting plants near heating or air conditioning vents. The hot, dry air or cold draft stresses plants out enormously. Or placing cold, sensitive plants on a window ledge that gets freezing air seeping through the winter. Or clustering plants in a spot with no airflow at all, which can encourage mold and fungal issues. To solve this, you keep your plants away from vents, radiators, and drafty windows. Give them a little breathing room. Good airflow helps prevent disease, and if you are putting a plant near a window in winter, just double check it's not touching the cold glass. Honestly, the one I feel most strongly about, giving up too soon. Plants are resilient, like genuinely resilient. I have nursed plants back from what looked like sudden death. A wilted, sad, almost leafless plant is not necessarily a dead plant. If there is still green on the stem, if the roots don't smell rotten, there is hope. Sometimes a plant just needs the right conditions, better light, the right soil, and a proper watering schedule. Also, a little time. It's not always going to bounce back overnight, but give it a few weeks and you'll often notice new growth starting, and that feeling is genuinely one of the best things. Here's what you do before you throw away a struggling plant. Diagnose it. Check the roots. Are they a little white and firm, or mushy and brown? Check the soil. Too wet or too dry? Check the light. Adjust one thing at a time and give it time to respond. And there you have it, the 10 most common houseplant mistakes and exactly what to do instead. The biggest takeaway? Most of these come down to observation, just watching your plants, learning their rhythms, noticing when something looks off. Plants are pretty good communicators if you know what to look for. And the more time you spend with them, the more fluent you get in what they are telling you. If this was helpful, please give it a like, drop a comment, letting me know which mistake you've been most guilty of, because we've all been there. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves and your plants. And as always, this is Soil and Small Spaces.